And here we are. We're live for Black Friday. Welcome, Pajampians.
Hey, how's everyone
I'm
doing?
doing well. I'm doing well.
Wow, I can see myself on my other screen. That's pretty cool.
Like you can see, you've got the YouTube feed up,
Of course, I have the YouTube feed
so
up.
everything looks like it's working.
It does. I don't have the sound on because that would interfere with this
Yeah, yeah.
here thing. Or I see over there
Sound should
thing.
be working fine, I think. If anyone is not hearing sound, say so in the comments. Andy, I'm going to put you in charge of monitoring comments for this.
Okay, it might degrade my ability to be
Yeah,
funny,
just
but it
keep
was
it.
never
Just keep an eye
that
out.
high.
See if anything.
We have Sam Slade here, comedian extraordinaire and
Comedian Sam
political.
Slade. How's it
How you
going,
doing,
man?
Sam?
How are you guys? It's great to see you guys live in person.
In
These moderately attractive faces. It's so nice to see you guys.
Yeah. Hey, and we're all working on Black Friday, so donate that. Oh, that reminds me. I did have my friend Wonka make a Pajampian 2019 T-shirt that you can go over to Threadless, lesserkey.threadless.com. You can get your Pajampian 2019 T-shirt in honor of our Black Friday live stream. For those of us who refuse to go outside, it's actually a cold and rainy day here in Phoenix, which is great because it just makes the shoppers more miserable.
excellent. It's just cold here. It's there's no precipitation, just
I've
cold.
decided that this is one of my favorite holidays just for the sheer hypocrisy of it. I did just, somewhere in America today, there's a soccer mom punching an old lady in the face over an Elmo doll in the name of Jesus, and that's rad. Yeah.
You
I've
pay
got to think the worst of it is already over by this point of the morning.
It depends on where you are, right? I mean, it's still
That's
super
true.
early.
It's
It's
on.
only 7 a.m. in California, man.
That's right. West Coast, they're just getting ready to rumble.
right.
But they're more laid back. They're all high.
That's true too. That's true too. I'm sure somebody got shot in Texas at a Walmart this morning, but it was over a price of a lawnmower, a leaf blower, or nice diner set.
That's mostly every week in Texas that somebody gets shot over something, though, right? I mean, it's Texas.
And at a Walmart. That's true too.
So, Sam, how is the political escapades at your end? You were working on a campaign. I don't know how much you can talk about that, but
Boy, I had a feeling, Andy, you were going to bring that up. I'm. I think I got to take a break from politics for a while, to be honest with you. Yeah, I've been working. I've been working on campaigns for 15 years now. Every year, every cycle, all the way through. I got extremely spoiled by Barack Obama. I'm realizing that during this primary, especially. But I mean, 2016 definitely put that front and center for me. And Rick Pitino was coaching the Celtics about birds walking through that door. He's not. If you think Kevin McHale's walking through that door, he's not fucking showing up, guys. And you're going, yeah, that's kind of how this primary feels. I will say this: when you're working for a guy who is not polling as well as he should be, based on what the policies that he's put forth in his resume, and then he goes out of his way to talk about transgender abortion and stray dogs and cats, you kind of start packing up your shit. At least if you've been around for longer than, you know, since the woke thing started. If you've been voting since before Black Panther was released, nothing against Black Panther, then you're kind of watching what's going on in the Democratic primary right now, and it doesn't taste real good. It's not exactly Thanksgiving leftovers. It's more like if your aunt showed up and took a dump on your plate and said, well, you still have a piece of pumpkin pie, don't you? And you're like, I guess that evens it out.
we're working for what?
What? I mean, I don't know. I guess I haven't been on the show in 6 months. I was working for Julian Castro, Secretary Julian Castro, a very brilliant, very dedicated public servant. But I think the lesson is when you run a national campaign, you really got to be ready, and you really got to, more than anything, know what you want to talk about and know what your bread and butter issues are and what's in your wheelhouse. And it's just real tough right now because we live in the era of, the weekly woke off, and we're more concerned with that than we are talking economy, jobs, healthcare, education, the stuff that Democrats have always won on. I mean, you got to keep in mind, Barack Obama didn't bring up or mention gay marriage until 2012. And it's not because he was insensitive. It's because he wanted to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I knew when our campaign manager was retweeting stuff like every gender has their period, I was going to have a hard time making small talk in the hallway after the morning meeting.
It sounds like, even though you may agree with certain positions that the campaign manager or that the candidate was holding, you feel like it wasn't something they should have been leading with.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about that stuff, there's a time and a place, there's a forum for it. But in a scenario where there's very limited talk time in these, these Game of Thrones, Hunger Games style debates where the loser gets voted off basically at the end of the debate, 10 people, you each get about a whole 4 minutes.
Yeah.
To waste your time talking about such fringe stuff, I just don't think it's productive. And I don't think, you're not going to win the states that we need to win as Democrats: Michigan, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Texas is a swing state apparently nowadays. I'll believe it when I see it. But I'll tell you what, you get outside of Austin, those aren't the issues that are pushing people back to the Democratic Party in Texas. The fact that all genders have their period. And I just want to publicly say right now that when I do finally get my period, you guys are both invited to my period party.
Good to know. No, I think there is a clear divide in just people pushing for their ideal objective, even though it's not necessarily politically tenable at any given election cycle. It's there needs to be more long-term strategy. Maybe we don't get it done this cycle, we get it done next cycle. Change public opinion, really learn to, steer the mob, kind of.
Yeah, what I'm wondering is whether or not at a certain point the campaign realized that they weren't going to win and they just decided to push the issues that they wanted to push.
That's true.
Possibly, but to keep in mind, the specific candidate that we were talking about that I was working for, he's still in the race, and he's cut his staff down in huge ways, but he's staying in the race. And the requirements to make these Democratic debates, there's a polling requirement you have to make, but there's also a donor number you have to make. Yeah. But I just think it's extremely disingenuous and very misleading to send out fundraising emails talking about, I need to hit X amount of donors to make this next debate, when the truth of the matter is you can raise $1 trillion fucking and have $1 trillion fucking donors. And if you're not hitting the right polling numbers, you still don't get invited to the debate. So, don't lie to your supporters and don't lie to people who would really appreciate your voice being heard on that stage, And don't wait until you're losing behind, I don't know, and not sure in Iowa and New Hampshire to start talking about how Iowa and New Hampshire shouldn't be the first two voting states in the primary. You should have brought that shit up 18 months ago instead of realizing you're losing and then said, hey, can we switch up the order?
Yeah. The next debate is what, 4%? You have to be able to poll at 4%.
And maybe 6 polls, 5 polls. It's getting a little stricter, They're raising the bar, and it's going to keep going that way. Which I have an issue with, because when we had that Republican clown car in 2016, the infamous A-team, B-team debates, remember?
Yeah.
There was no polling requirement. Everybody got to participate, The Republican Party, the guys who always bitched about liberals handing out participation trophies, was the fucking political. Thank you, Jack. We're the political party doing, everybody gets a trophy, everybody gets a chance. It's nuts.
And the thing is, Trump really, really did well in not just in the on the campaign trail and winning.
That's an interesting thing, because all the primary media was a big part of his media strategy. So since he doesn't have a primary this time around, does that hurt him in a big way? I think that's a legit question.
It definitely does. These
I don't know if he knows how to do this without all that earned media that comes with running a primary.
Or the free media. When he's run the first go round, CNN would cut
Yeah.
CNN would break from something very important and legitimate and cut to him doing his new, 15 minutes in Mississippi.
Yeah. Now that's an interesting, because I've got both of you here are comics, right? And we've talked before about how Trump basically is an
Allegedly.
insult comic, right? We've talked before about how Trump is basically an insult comic, and how that is his campaign style.
Yep. Well, Trump, at least I believe his strategy is going to be not running against the candidate for right now. He'll just be running against people like AOC or the Squad.
Yeah, he'll be running against a nebulous Democrat boogeyman. Like,
yeah. While still trying to undermine, of course, whoever the front runner is, like he was trying to do with Biden.
Starting to do, he rigged a international conspiracy to do.
International conspiracy, indeed, in the most sloppy and elementary school kid playground kind of way.
Well, I love at the end of the day what we found out a couple weeks ago in those hearings was that he didn't even want the investigation. He just wanted to be able to say that there was an investigation going on. Yeah. So he was willing.
He just wanted them to put out a press statement. He didn't care if they actually did anything. Yeah.
That is, and I've said it on this show every time I've been on, I think ever, it's the WWE president, guys. Yeah. He didn't want, Nixon would have wanted the fucking investigation. Ken Starr would have wanted the investigation. Trump let's just make it look like we're doing something. Here, just hit me with the chair. I'll pretend like my back is broken.
I just need the headline, because my supporters don't read the whole article anyway. So.
Right.
And I irritate many of my liberal friends when I say this, but that's the genius of Trump. He realizes that you just have to be able to say it. You don't need to have evidence or proof.
Are you saying that putting a flashy, thin veneer over basic ass shit is just Trump's thing? Because,
that's it. That's his
slap your name on a Hilton and you're done. Yeah.
I love that it was when Sondland testified. I hadn't watched any of the hearings. I was kind of burnt out, and I read whatever. And I had my good friend Ray Jimenez, the heart of the Ghostbusters. He'd call me and keep me posted. And then Sondland testified, and I watched every fucking minute of that hearing all damn day. Just glued to it, like it was like the last episode of Sopranos. And I love so much that Sondland went in there with a smile on his face, ratted on everybody, and then come to think about it, you stop about halfway through, get up, get yourself a sandwich or something for the second half, and it dawns on you, it took an apolitical piece of shit hotel billionaire to bring down the apolitical piece of shit hotel billionaire.
Right.
Perfect twist.
Yeah, right. Hopefully, this is what I've been saying for a while about, even if, Trump doesn't get removed out of office, which he probably won't. But as long as the Democrats are able to make most Americans want to change the channel, basically, because that's their basics. That's a lot of their strategy, is to get people Trump fatigued, and not just Democrats, because we've been Trump fatigued for a long time, but everyday Americans, the independent voters, is to get them so tired of Trump, much like a lot of people were tired of Clinton at a certain point, that the brand is just destroyed. That Trump's brand is destroyed enough so that he loses the next election.
Well, you're in a bad place if you're Donald Trump when Kenneth Starr is saying that you should just go ahead and resign because this shit looks so bad already. That's the guy who created the worthless impeachment over something frivolous, No,
you're right about that. If we were dealing in reality where facts matter and people cared about what actually happens, we wouldn't be at this point right now. But we live in at least 25% of the population, the hardcore Trump supporters, they live in an alternative reality of Fox News, Red Pill, YouTube channels.
Sure, but I think the same can be said for a big chunk of the left living in Facebook bubbles, thinking that a lot of these far left candidates are runaway trains that don't have the support that people think they do just because the Facebook bubble amplifies that signal for them, you know?
I mean, to give you an example of what Jack's talking about, and I agree with it, is I don't mean to harp on this or sound like a broken record or a guy unemployed leading up to Christmas, but I would just like to point out, if I started my transition tomorrow, I still can't get pregnant.
This is the thing you're going to hammer on this morning, man? Is this really the hill you want to die on this morning?
I have messaging Andy like daily bitching about this. One day I called him from the bathtub to bitch about it. We made him FaceTime with me.
Is that just because you really want to have a kid? Like, why are you bitching about this so much?
Because I don't think our Democratic primary candidates in an era where it's probably the most important election. I know we say that every time, but America's on the ropes, like at the end of Rocky I, and here goes, our potential heroes that could step in and save the country, and they're talking about men getting pregnant.
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry, not men. I'm sorry. I know that's not men. They're not men.
No, I get what you're saying. Like, I mean, in terms of outreach to the population, that's a small group of people. It's not the best place to go spending big money. Like, in terms of attracting votes, it's just a bad strategy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to say something about what little I know about my personal experience with people who are in transition or who self-identify as trans, is that I'm going to go with that Woody Allen quote: "Sexuality is a mystery." Maybe not the best person to quote about sexuality, but there's a lot of things I don't know. When I told people like 30 years ago that occasionally I like having dick and balls in my mouth, people were like, "Really? I don't think I understand that." But the most accepting of them were people who were legitimately agnostic on the issue. So agnosticism, though I like to call agnostics, spineless at times, but there's a real difficulty with being agnostic with things that you do not fully understand. So, my friends who didn't understand my position were like, "I don't understand it, Andy, but, I'm willing just to roll with things." So with people who are transitioning, or those people who have legitimately suffered over time because of that, I hold an agnostic position, and that means just basically supporting them and letting things roll as they are. I feel like I needed to say that under these circumstances. But yeah, should it be the cornerstone of your campaign? What I hear, Sam, is frustration in the fact that, and we've talked about this off camera, is that the person who was running the campaign had no previous experience running a campaign, right?
That's fair.
Yeah. And if I was serving under a general who had never served before, right, who just suddenly catapulted because she knew the guy in charge, then yeah, I would be like super frustrated.
That's the thing. But I mean, like,
And
is
look,
that like, I mean, did Conway ever run a campaign before she was Trump's?
I don't know, man. But I know if I'm in World War I in the trenches and the general is some Lord York, who,
well, yeah, but I think there's also there's kind of
a
there's kind of a sense of and part of this is just the Trump effect of everything that he ever does, but like we're kind of in the upside down now, and you don't necessarily know, like things aren't necessarily following trends because so much shit is broken.
I want to say this about Trump and his campaign too. Trump won that campaign. Other people were pretty much, Trump and the Russians, let's face it. But basically Trump was the one who mauled everybody. He was the guy, right? So if you don't have that kind of guy as your candidate, then you need a professional team, or you need someone like a football team. You need a coach that can call shots.
Well, how about this? Obama had Axelrod. Clinton had Carville. I mean, you go all the way back, right? W had Rove. I mean, most of the successful presidents or candidates always had somebody who was around that, they would listen to.
Somebody who's just well, here's the thing. Most of those people, like, Obama had I don't know who would be the person for him.
David Axelrod.
Axelrod, yeah, Axelrod be pretty good, and yeah, Cheney. But like, so basically, what it comes down to is they've got the nice guy face candidate that they put out, but then right behind them is some real bastard who's working for him, who's willing to do some conniving shit. What Trump did is just merge those into one people. He is the scheming bastard who's willing to do the conniving shit. There is no other person, right? So it's.
But he's also an insult comic, and he's also a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
Right. So we can't even compare him to some political strategy, or he's running his campaign like we're doing promos for SummerSlam.
I'm gonna do my pen point right here. My pen point is that what a lot of people complained about Trump when he was running his campaign is that he fired a lot of people. However, if things aren't working the way that I want them to work on my campaign, I'd be fucking firing people left and right. I'm going to bring up Abraham Lincoln. Donald Trump, not in the same category, but Abraham Lincoln just fired people, just fired generals who were in charge of the Army of the Potomac up until he got Grant, who actually knew how to fight a modern war. So, yeah. If your person, general, if your campaign manager isn't getting the results you want, then leadership means firing that person and finding somebody else. And it sounds like from what Sam's saying, Secretary Castro did not do that, or has not done that, and will not do that, which is a shame.
But I think it's like, as opposed, I can talk about this now, as opposed to Beto O'Rourke, who bowed out gracefully, walked off. Gave a final speech and laid it all out there. And by the way, he had a lot more money in the bank than Julian Castro had when he dropped out. So I don't really know what he's doing. Like, I just don't understand it. And
well, I think that that's part of the problem with the 24-hour news cycle is that you've got people jumping into the presidential race just to raise their profile for their reelection campaigns.
Or to sell their books.
Or to sell their books. Or, yeah.
For 3 years. You know what I mean? That's not, yes, it's sell a book or
because that's part of the money problem, because they need to get so much time on cable news media so their names they can go to their donors and say, hey, look, here's what I've been doing, right? It's not about getting out the votes there. That's about calling donors and getting them to donate money and saying, here's me championing your issues on CNN or whatever, give me $2,000, not I'm going to go get votes, right? That's what all the media stuff is.
I think that there is some possible wisdom in the idea of staying in the campaign and waiting for a gap to form, or waiting for an opportunity to seize. But the thing is, that's a useless activity if you're not firing the campaign manager that isn't working for you.
Well, I think some people do run to lose, right? Like, we know that people get into the race hoping just to get a VP nod. Like, that happens. Like, they're not trying to win the nomination. They're hoping to get tagged for VP.
Well, I think this, kind of on the same topic, I think Beto O'Rourke is making the strongest case for VP candidate by the way he was able to walk off and act like, I don't need this shit. Because who's the guy you want? The guy who acts like he doesn't need this shit. Biden did it to Obama. Cheney did it to W. You know what I mean?
Bush did it to Reagan. Bush did it to Reagan.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I just pivoting a little bit. I always thought that having, a presidential candidate and a vice presidential candidate from Texas would have been the best bet for the Democrats to go with. It's unfortunate.
Just to try and get Texas blue.
Well, it's also you can't. I didn't realize this, but it's unconstitutional now. After, I don't know who it was, but there's something preventing us from even attempting that. I don't know. I'm not a legal expert or a constitutional expert. I know you're surprised by that, but there's something preventing us, because I had discussions, joking around at lunch and stuff at the Castro office. Like, boy, wouldn't it be great, Castro and Beto? Let's just do this. And that we can't do it for some reason.
Huh.
I'm going to look that up.
Please do.
Because there's 3 people on the call. So now you guys can talk.
You're going to look that up right now. Andy's going to go to the Google box.
I am, because this is like the Joe Rogan podcast where they have James.
I just think that, knowing how important this election is and how everything is on stake, I mean, up for grabs. Like Elizabeth Warren up there in your neck of the woods, Andy, is talking about taxpayer-funded transitions for violent inmates. And
that just loses you the Midwest. No matter how much good it does you in the blue states, it loses you the Midwest.
Well, it almost is like, were you playing piss off a Republican roulette? You had taxpayers transitioning and violent inmates.
Okay, can I clarify this
Yes.
particular position? I'm going to cite my sources by saying it's from the History Channel. The question is, America 101, can the president and vice president be from the same state? It starts off with saying there are many misconceptions about rules of a president choosing their running mate. There's no law or regulation against a president and vice president of the U.S. being from the same state. The reason why some people believe such a prohibition exists comes down to a particular aspect of the Electoral College laid out in Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution, blah, 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 blah. It turns out that under the original system, electors did not distinguish between candidates for the nation's top two offices. However, the rule preventing an elector from voting for two people from his home state remained. Yeah, so basically it's an artifact from an older time. Right now, there's no law that prevents the president and the vice president from being from the same state. If it was like 200 years ago, yeah, maybe. But now, not so much. So there you go. History Channel. And they're never wrong.
See, now, if you had known that at that lunch, this whole thing could have gone differently.
Yeah, I'd be fast tracking on my way to the White House, guys. Thanks for pointing that out, Jack. No, but it just goes to show. I mean, it didn't dawn on me till right now, but I'm starting to think that some of those people at that campaign didn't know what they were talking about.
Well,
I mean, people have jobs that they're not qualified for? Really?
I think one of the themes of our show, The Naked Diner, is the fact that when we have experts on, whether it's Professor Alan Lichtman or a recent guest, Dr. Sanjay Gupta from York Cardiology, not the CNN Sanjay Gupta, but they will tell you things like most of what you hear from the establishment or from the industry, it's unnecessary and it actually gets in the way of understanding the topic. So a lot of people get confused because there's too much data and they can't detect the signal from the noise. And I think that's what this show does. We try to get people to detect the signal from all the clutter and the noise that's out there, which makes us special in a positive way.
No, what makes me special in a positive way is this awesome bathrobe that I'm wearing for.
I thought you were in some kind of satanic.
No, this is just a big fuzzy bathrobe, man. It's great though. I can do a pretty good Emperor Palpatine if I lean in this way.
You say that that's your bathrobe, but I still think
the Rebel Alliance will fall. See, it's pretty good, right? Yeah, this is just a big fuzzy bathrobe. It's great. I love it. It's very nice. It's the fuzziest thing I own. This is my I'm not going out. No, I actually got this before me and her got together.
So that could be my previous girlfriend gave it to me, but I can't say.
No, I bought this myself. This is from it's one of those things I did for me.
Because you learn how to speak in code. When obviously, I'm 51, so I've had a few girlfriends and a 20-year marriage. So when you have to be able to translate certain things in your life to the person that you're dating right now, that for example, I brought my girlfriend off to a restaurant that I've been going to for the last 25 years. And she's like, I bet you brought your previous girlfriend to it. And it's like, well, to tell you the truth,
I really like the restaurant.
A lot of people here. I mean, not that I dated a lot of people because I'm serial monogamous, but I brought this is just a place that I'd like to go. And it's just something you have to.
Yeah. Like if you were like a low level mob boss, you'd be sitting in a booth there having people come and give you their stacks of money from running numbers.
Right.
Yeah. It's just where it'd be your kind of office.
It's where he conducts business.
Yeah, it's where I do my business.
That's right. Business.
Hey, so Andy, it's so funny you're talking about that. I got a great example of exactly what you're talking about. just
Right.
from 2 nights ago, night before Thanksgiving. Lady friend of mine. We go out to speaking of code, we go to over to East Sixth Street in Austin. Cool little bar. Meeting some of her friends. It's one of her friends' birthdays. Just hanging out, have a couple drinks. Nothing crazy. And we're there for an hour or so, and I look up, and the bartender now it's changed over, I guess, or this bartender has just arrived. I don't know. Well, it's this another woman I know named Carolina, and she happens to be a lesbian, and we're talking, and hey, I didn't know you worked here. I haven't seen you forever. I go back to the table. I turn to the lady friend. Hey, my friend Carolina's bartending. I got to introduce you. And I immediately in my head go into this neurotic middle-aged white guy overthinking thing of like, wait, is the lady friend going to think that me and Carolina have a history? Is this going to be weird? Like, am I seem too excited that Carolina's working here? So we go up and we meet her. Hey, sir, Carolina's the lady friend is Carolina. Totally normal. And I go, hey, Carolina, what was that movie we watched that night? We smoked all that weed. We were making jokes. I mean, we stayed up 3 a.m. watching. What was the movie? Without a beat, she goes, it's Ghostbusters. Now, it wasn't Ghostbusters, but I have also watched, it was Jurassic Park, and I'm kind of offended she didn't remember because I thought I was killing it working on my Goldblum.
Right.
But I have watched Ghostbusters with the new lady friend, right?
So now it's
okay.
part of your set.
So now I'm sitting there. This all goes within a split second in my head. So now I'm going, oh no. Now it's not only is she wondering, does Sam have a history with this Carolina woman, but does he just
Is this Sam's?
bring women up to the house and show them ghosts? Is that the move? Did I fall for the move? So as soon as she says Ghostbusters, before I even correct her to say that was Jurassic Park, like calm down. I immediately just turned to the new lady friend, middle of the bar, and at about this volume, I go, she's a lesbian. And the lady friend literally looks at me going, like, what does that have to do with shit? But in my mind, I'm going, just trying to clear it up.
Just want to clear this complication up right now.
So you can see why I'm having issues in the woke world these days.
Well,
I mean well, though. I mean well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, there's no doubt that your heart's in the right place. I have a funny story about my girlfriend. I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son. And at least on 3 different occasions, my 14-year-old daughter has called my girlfriend, my most recent ex-girlfriend's name.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. So when you have kids, it's a whole different potential landmine.
You can't be held responsible for your kid getting the name wrong. Like,
yeah, but you can.
Yeah, but you can.
Thankfully, my girlfriend is very understanding and very kind. In fact, Sam met her on a video call that we did a little while ago. But yes, my current girlfriend is very kind and understanding. Whether or not my relationships in the past would be so kind and understanding about this particular topic, I don't know. I'm guessing maybe not. But this one is. But she took it all in stride.
That's a good sign. You're not calling her the wrong name during sex, are you?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good.
Absolutely not. There's no reason for that, my friend.
No. Of course, there's no reason for it. It's always an accident. I mean, unless you're really trying to wrap things up and find a way out.
And tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I have a no-name policy during sex, just for that reason.
Okay.
Like that, I am not calling a proper name. There's no proper name that's come, but not Jehovah, not not my girlfriend's name, not my name, no names.
We're just keeping names out of it.
Just yeah.
I kind of like the idea of calling. I think it'd be really funny to call out your own name during sex. Like that would be one of those jokes that like would kill your relationship, but holy shit, it'd be funny, right? Like,
well, I'll say this: all three of us have names or a version of our names that would allow us to date a woman, or someone who has transitioned into their new life, or a man who identifies as a woman. See what I'm going through these days? I don't know what to say anymore. So we could date a woman that has a version of our own names: Sam, Andy, and Jack. Either Jackie, Andy with an I, Sam, Samantha, Sammy.
I have dated someone with whose name was Andrea. She was about, but the good thing about this, right? So it was weird that her name was Andrea, kind of. But the good thing is that there were many other weirder aspects of our relationship. For example, she was 18 years younger than I was, and so that was weird unto itself. And of course, her myriad of personality disorders too. That was also so. Even though the name thing was a thing, but it was really low on the ladder.
I imagine that over time that would get really complicated, though. Like if you got together and you got married and stuff, and you were Andy and Andy Hall, right? Then like it's kind of like imagine George Foreman's house when the mail comes and they're trying to split it up.
Yeah.
Like which one goes to what kid? Like it's got to be chaos, right?
You know what I find this interesting is that I'm able to talk about my own personal stories without being depressing. And I think it's all because of video, my friend. Because typically, for long-time listeners of The Naked Diner, you'll hear me talk about personal stories on audio only, and you're like, oh my God, Andy Hall, that's so sad, or that's horrible. But on video, I think my stories become much more funny.
Just the facial expression being able to be seen kind of
Completely.
helps you
I think
out. Yeah. Well, that's why when we were doing the show video, I wrote, insist that the guests turn off the mic or turn off their camera. Because I think, hand gestures and stuff like people fall into when they can see each other. They fall into using visual cues. And if you Sam's Trump hands. Exactly.
Right.
So I think
Well,
now with video it does change things, yeah. What'd you say, Sam?
Oh, I dated a woman named Sam one time, Samantha, but went by Sam or Sammy with an I. And I don't know where you get the I from Samantha. I don't know.
I don't know where that comes from either. I think there's just a thing in the English language where names that end in I are more feminine, like somehow. Like I don't know why, but that seems to be the case.
It's like a mini house thing. I don't know. We'll have to wait till Disney Plus does a documentary about it. But
I'm sure some linguistics professor somewhere has written a thesis on it that 10 people have read, and
soon we will be right-wing conservatives for not ending our names in I's. But
no, I can't call myself Maturkey. That's not going to happen.
I would pay for that.
What's wrong with that? No, so I dated this woman named Sam, and to be honest, this was many years ago. And to be completely candid with you guys, because this is what I do on the show, she looked like Artie Lang, and not Artie Lang like Artie Lang now, and or Artie Lang right before he got clean. And I was so obsessed with the experience of getting to say my own name during sex, it didn't faze me. I didn't care. I was like, you know what? Let's go, beer league. Let's do this.
Yeah, I heard Artie Lang. I think it was on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah, that was a really good interview.
I was surprised Artie Lang was still alive. I just imagined that he just died sometime.
You know what was weird about that was like they set up the camera angle so perfect so you can't see how screwed up his nose is.
Oh,
like every once in a while he would turn his head to the side and you'd see that it's just flat and just kind of it was weird. But like most of the time they had it just right, so in 2D with the camera on, it looked,
Well, there was some kind of camera work beforehand before they went live to figure.
It was actually Andy Serkis. It wasn't even Artie Lang. I thought he looked great, and
he looks a lot better. I'm not knocking him. He looks a lot better, and he had a hard road, man. But I mean, come on, his nose is fucked now.
He's clean and he's quick as ever. And,
he was really funny. Like that was a good show. But let's not just talk about other people's video streams.
Yeah, let's not do that. Okay, so I got to ask because I know we're We're not Joe Rogan. We can't do this shit for 5 hours.
Joe Rogan can't do it for 5 hours either. After an hour or so, the man peters out. The man just starts unless you have Alex Jones on, who's just insane.
Listen to me right now, Joe. I'll tell you right now exactly what is going on. International conspiracy. The transphobes are actually taking over. I like to do woke Alex Jones. I meant to work it in yesterday at Thanksgiving. Listen to me right now. We are transitioning. I am on brand new hormones. I'm growing amazing breasts. It's George Soros doesn't want you to know about it.
I am licking 5 frogs a day.
Forgot about the gay frogs.
Right.
Well, that's what I was going to ask is I want to hear some Thanksgiving stories from the eastern part of the country and the western part of the country. What happened yesterday? Let's hear some highlights.
Well, I had my I rescued my 14-year-old kid from her mother's house the day before Thanksgiving because, and this might have been a little passive aggressive, a little perfect on my part, but my kid had a whole bunch of chores that she had to do, and I'm like, I'm here now. Get your bag. We're heading over to Dad's place, and then you get to scoot out of all of this, all these
drudgery
chores and everything. Out of this drudgery.
Sounds like a typical Massachusetts liberal move.
I mean, that's a good move to be in. That's a good dad zone move, though, is to be like, hey, I'm going to get you out of your chores. We're going to go play. Like, kids eat that shit up.
Yeah, completely. We just came back to my place, watched the big screen TV, and just watched anime. And we saw Anna and the Apocalypse, which is an excellent movie, filmed in Scotland. Musical, if you're a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the musical episode, or Shaun of the Dead, this is the movie for you. I think it's either on Prime or Netflix. But Anna and the Apocalypse, it came out 2 years ago. Great movie if you're a fan of the genre. So that's what I did the day before Thanksgiving. On Thanksgiving itself, I brought my 2 kids. I brought my other kid over. He's 17. He's doing the sullen teenager thing right now. And we had breakfast. My High the Body friend came over. My buddy Scott, who is my High the Body Dottie. No, he is Irish too. He is Irish, but not Scottish, of course. But we had breakfast, and then he left. One of my other friends came over. We had proper turkey meal, and then I brought my kids back to my ex-wife's house by about 2:30 or so, and there was nothing but Andy time after that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That shit over with early.
I front load my day so that I crank from about 6:30 in the morning till about 2:00 in the afternoon. But after that, it's all Andy time. My girlfriend's out in Texas actually right now. She's over in Dallas with her folks, and so she wasn't around. So I just basically watched more TV and did some of the typing stuff, and did some work on the last video.
Some of the typing stuff. You mean writing?
Yeah, I don't really like to say that what I do is writing. I tell jokes, I do stuff like that. So what did you do yesterday, Jack?
We went over. We have a long-standing invitation to my friend's Thanksgiving over in the next town nearby because I used to work with him, and his wife loves cooking Thanksgiving dinners. Like it's her thing. They moved out from the Midwest, and they don't go home either. So we've kind of got this cadre of people in the Phoenix area who all know each other, who don't go home to visit their families every year, and it's just kind of a rotating Thanksgiving party at their house every year. It's nice. So we took the baby over. The baby was a big hit. She was very nice. She was good. She didn't cry. She didn't fuss. She had a good time.
I saw pics online. I saw pics on Facebook. Very
My
adorable child.
fucking baby. Yeah, she's ridiculously cute.
She inherited your head.
Yeah, like the shape too, not just because the hair will grow in, but if it ever comes down to it and she needs to pull a Sinead O'Connor, she'll be okay,
Right. I saw that you were with your brother yesterday, Sam.
I was with both brothers.
Both brothers. All right.
Both brothers. They're both newly married. They're both married now, so props to my mom. 2 out of 3 is not bad, Mom.
This one got married. That one had a heart attack.
I did get married, though. I did get married. I did get married. We have told. Come on.
Yeah.
So I took a Native American woman to Thanksgiving.
That must have been an interesting experience.
You know, I think she's real nervous. We were headed over there because it was her first ever real white people Thanksgiving.
Now, are we talking about like a Native American, or an Elizabeth Warren Native American?
Not the Elizabeth Warren kind.
Okay. So this is this woman's first white people Thanksgiving with Sam and company. That must have been quite.
Yeah, with an extremely overwhelming Slade family function. So here's what we did before we went. Have you guys ever heard of the game What Do You Meme?
No.
I don't think so. No, tell me.
So it's Cards Against Humanity, but it's got photos.
Oh, okay.
So instead of the setup and then you put the punchline down, it's photos and then you put the punchline down.
So kind of like the
Right.
kind of like the Cyanide and Happiness game, where you're making 3-panel comic type stuff, sort of. Yeah.
Whatever works for you, Jack. Let's just get through this story.
All right.
So I don't think I've ever played anything involving cyanide in my life, and I don't know. Okay. So it gets real. So what we did, we rigged the deck. So the deck of punchline cards, we took anything the least bit clean or just boring, we took it out of the deck. And we then compiled all of the filthy cards into one master deck. People knew something was up when my middle brother, he hosted. First time we haven't had Thanksgiving at our folks' house and instead at one of the married brothers' houses. Obviously, somebody got skipped in line, but we all remember why that. Anyways, so we have this deck of filthy cards, and as soon as we pass them out, well, before that, my middle brother bust out the game. I didn't even know he owned it, and he's like, "You guys want to play this?" I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! I brought it too, and I've got the version we want to use." And he's like, "Why are you so insistent on using your? It's the same fucking game." And I'm like, "No, man. Let's use mine."
Trust me, I stacked the deck.
Well, I just kept saying I got the expansion pack, and he was like, "So what? Like, it was not that like we're not gonna play all day." And I'm like, "No, I got the expansion pack." So we get started as soon as we pass out the cards. My brother's wife's parents are there. They're very polite people from Houston. My folks are there they're very funny, but they're also playing an away game, right? So they're not at third place. They don't have to pretend to be the Waltons, right? Not that they are, but then you have a new lady friend at her first white people Thanksgiving. Then you have baby brother's wife from Mexico City who doesn't really altogether understand all of the punchlines due to the way that they're articulated or written. So when people are looking through their cards, everybody's sitting there going, "I can't do this. I'm not playing this." Everyone's sitting around the table, about a dozen people. I can't say these things. Cut to 2 hours later, and my stepdad is sitting there going, "When you realize you're a fuck boy because you have a toothbrush in 3 different time zones."
That's really good. That's a good joke.
Or my mom, it was great. I got to hear my mom say, "When you get real depressed because it dawns on you how small your penis is."
Wow.
So I got my money's worth yesterday.
I tell you, man, games like that, they really do just take all the drama and social shit out of a situation. You know, once you unlock that bag of we're allowed to be offensive with each other here, that really takes all the wind out of a lot of stress at holiday gatherings. I found.
I just remember my middle brother's mother-in-law. Just at one point, just kept looking around the table. What is a turd cutter? What is a turd cutter? And then my middle brother's new father-in-law. Now, keep in mind, this is the first time we have done a holiday with these people. And at one point, he opens off. It's like watching a Cubs game when there's like a home run off the first pitch of the first at bat. This guy gets the car. When you get some serious anal bleaching done and start walking around demanding more respect, and doesn't flinch, just nails the punchline, lands it, and then a few minutes later he gets to one and he goes, "Well, I can't read this one. I can't say this." And it was my middle brother, his son-in-law. He goes, "Come on, Paul, what is it? What are you?" "Well, I don't want to say titty." Or you realize you just did an anal bleaching joke for the whole family?
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, man, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going backwards.
So, Sam, did you win?
Did I? Huh?
Did you win the game?
You know, Andy, that's your name, right?
That's my name, sir.
Andy? I'm so glad you asked that question, because as I've traveled around Central Texas this week during this holiday season and talked to people about the issues that they're most thankful for and what's important to them, I get asked that all the time. Did you win that massive, huge family game of that filthy joke off? And, honestly, yes. Yes, I did. No apologies for it. I won 4 cards, I think, or 4 of the memes. You keep, Cards Against Humanity, you keep set up. And this, you keep the photo. I won 4, and then I think we had that second tier of candidates that had about 4 or 5 people who had 3 wins. But very quietly, I kept just kind of slow and steady, just throwing out those dick jokes, just staying the course, making sure I get weirded out if the photo on What Do You Meme is anything child related. I don't like that. That just makes it weird to me. Other people don't have a problem with it. But marijuana is a gateway drug, and I think we have to, make a point to say that.
All right, guys, we're gonna have to wrap it up.
Wait, hang on. I gotta say one more thing about Thanksgiving, and I saved it because I know at this point my brothers have turned it off if they even gave it a shot. So they decide they're going to do tacos for Thanksgiving instead of turkey.
It's the Southwest.
Jack, would you just wrap yourself up in that rope for just 2 seconds? So it's the first time in our life we've never done. That was the creepiest way you could have done that. We've never not done turkey. So there's like this weird. The family starts breaking into factions, and some people are like, well, no, tacos are going to be fine. Like, Ben's a great cook. It's going to be fine. And me and my youngest brother, who's probably the guy you saw the picture with, we're like hell, it's going to be tacos. Like, we promised the women of color that we're bringing a real white people fucking Thanksgiving. We eat tacos every other fucking day. This is mashed potato season, people. So a second kind of menu option shows up. By the way, my brother crushed it with those tacos. I mean, amazing Al Pastor tacos that he made homemade. I was blown away. They were great. But we also had turkey and stuffing and everything else.
Good.
But the big issue yesterday was that him and his wife bought everybody a pair of black and red, like classic flannel pajamas.
Okay.
And we were all supposed to change into them at some point.
I'm behind this idea. What's wrong? Where's your spirit?
Sounds culty. Can't do it. Sorry.
Thank you. So my youngest brother calls me very upset once he hears this news. We're all supposed to wear these matching pajamas. I know damn well my stepdad's not going to participate. So when we show up, there's a stack of them over off in the back, like off this other back dining room table, a stack of everybody's pajamas. Now, me and my youngest brother made a Blazer Bros pact that we were going to show up to Thanksgiving wearing blazers. And that's probably the picture you saw, Andy.
Right.
And it helped that both of us separately the night before watched The Irishman by ourselves. Because not only did we show up in blazers, like just dress nice, we also showed up in like De Niro Casino era blazers, like some bright. I've been accused of looking like a key lime pie yesterday with my brown blazer and the green shirt. Jack, if you haven't seen it, my youngest brother's wearing like a jet blue blazer.
Yeah, no, I saw the pic. Yeah. Looked like
That's our Ray Liotta.
yeah. Looked like you were just about to go cut off a horse head.
So then it gets real. Then it gets real passive aggressive at the very end, to where my middle brother and his wife, and then their close like girlfriend, not that way. Well, that I know of. Who knows? They sneak off and put the pajamas on and come back out to where everybody's hanging out, but they don't make an announcement like, "Hey, we're all putting on the pajamas. We're gonna do pictures." Like, so then they just come out and they're just real passive aggressive, sulky, sitting in the pajamas, and the rest of us are going, Are we supposed to go put the pajamas on? Like, there was no announcement made. Meanwhile, like my youngest brother's in. I think there's a picture on my Facebook you probably saw, Andy, where it's me pulling off the brother in the blue blazer away from the other boy, because he was literally going, "This is my protest statement. This is my see this blazer? My protest statement." Like, all right. Thanksgiving's over. Get your leftovers. Get out of here.
It sounds like a very exciting time, sir.
Well, I just wanted to give the lady friend a real white people Thanksgiving, and I think we delivered for a number of reasons.
Oh yeah,
I mean, there was a fight.
Yeah, they're pajamas apparently, because that's
Passive aggressiveness.
Oh, passive aggressiveness. Yeah.
Freaky in-laws. It was so funny. My mom's she bought some
weird
gloves
attempts at multiculturalism shoehorned in there by making tacos.
Did your lady friend turn to you and say, "At least they're not blankets"?
You know, I'm so glad you brought that up, Andy, because as we've started to hang out, and it's this time of year, and I'll look over watching a movie on the couch, and she's obviously, I mean, I keep the place like the Fortress of Solitude around here, you know? And for me, I'll turn to her and I can tell she's cold, and, you know, maybe I'm still cooking, so I can't, you know, and I don't even want to ask if she wants a blanket, because she's way more progressive. I'm just, you know, like, would you like any source of warmth?
You can have a heat lamp handy, maybe.
Yeah, it's very uncharted territory due to just the woke culture we live in now. And you know, my youngest brother's wife is from Mexico City, and she was the most bummed out of anyone we were doing tacos, and I think rightfully so. And at one point, the worst kind of white guy that my middle brother is, who had the taco idea, he turns to her during the meal. He turns to the sister-in-law from Mexico City during the meal, and she just got a big old Thanksgiving plate. It just looks like Thanksgiving. And, you know, mixing it up and a bite of this and a bite of that, you know how you do. And especially if it's new. And Ben legit goes, "So what's up? You didn't get any tortillas?" And the girl from Mexico City is like, "Yeah, I think maybe like I can have one meal in my life without tortillas being involved. It's going to be all right. Like this, for me, this is a holiday away from tortillas."
Right.
But he acted super like white guy offended, and he was like, "So you're just not going to make a taco?" And she was like, "No, like idiot. I made it over here. I'm not doing that anymore."
Right. Very good. Well, it sounds like we all had a very good time. I'm going to have to run, guys, because I have.
Well, I mean, we're right about at an hour, so I feel pretty good about stopping this train wreck and seeing how it went in post.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Well, I can't hear you because the Lakers are in first place.
Lakers are in first place. Well, I hear the Patriots are going to be winning another game tomorrow, but that's on Sunday. That's right, on Sunday. I get the days mixed up.
You're spoiled. You're a spoiled brat with your Tom Brady.
I do. I don't even hear about the games unless they lose. It's just an assumption that they.
Don't look at me. You're talking about sports now, and I'm done. I got nothing.
Okay, Andy, real talk before you get out of here. You're at like a Home Depot picking something up. Like, I got to fix a faucet in the bathroom. The girlfriend's on me about it. You turn the corner, Tom Brady, he's right there. And just nonchalantly, he's like, "You want to go to the bathroom?"
Well, Tom's not my type.
Whoa! You're a Patriots fan.
I'm a fan. Not my type. Not my type.
Okay.
No offense to Tom Brady or the Patriots Nation, but yeah, I'm picky.
Fuck it. It's wicked disappointing, bro.
Well, wicked. All right. Thank you, Sam Slade, for coming on the Naked Diner. Thanks to everyone who was watching.
Yeah, this was a fun experiment.
Jack,
I think this turns out pretty well.
Fun. Jack, good job in jury rigging all this together.
Yeah. Well, hey, everybody, go once again. Threadless, or what is it? Lesserkey.com or lesserkey.threadless.com. Go get yourself a Pajampian 2019 T-shirt.
You should put that link in the chat notes there.
I'm gonna, but he didn't send me the link until like last night at like 1 a.m, and you know.
Yeah. All right, dude. I will see you all later. Thanks again, Sam.
I'm gonna transition out of this. We're gonna put an end to this right now. Bye, everybody.
See you guys. Thank you.